Welcome everybody to hour 7 of our 7. This is the 7th segment of the show. This is the last one before we get into the closing parts of it. And this is MogTalk 50, of course. And this is our 1 year anniversary. This has been a great day so far. This has been awesome. You guys are going to have to end it off really well. I expect you to.
That pressure.
Yeah, lots of pressure. Today I have, tonight now, it's tonight. I have back with me from our previous show when we were talking about MogTalk of old days. ShamanArkk, how you doing, man?
Well, doing just as I was 2 hours ago.
Yeah, excellent. Wonderful, right?
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. And then we have returning with us Denz, who was actually on the show very recently, like 2 episodes ago. Ark, you were on the last episode. You guys were here very recently.
Yeah.
And you just got back from your fun that you had over there with your Magic tournament, Denz. Yeah, and you should have got first place, man.
The person who got first place, I'm kind of happy that he got first.
Okay.
So.
Was it a spell deck?
No. He's an all creature deck, an elf deck actually. It's more that he's like this guy when I met him like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
He was just getting into the game and he was really excited. He's a super nice guy. And to actually see him doing well, because he used to be he would show up, lose every game, but still be having fun. And to see the fact that in a year and a half, he's gotten to a point of where he knows how to build a good deck and play a good deck. It's good for him.
That's awesome, man. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about adding in an extra dynamic to our playstyles and what we can do with the game. And I was talking to you guys a little bit about what you might want to talk about, and subjobs was something Ark really wanted to get into. You've actually talked to me about this multiple times in the past.
Yeah, even on MogTalk in the past. It's
yeah.
like it's a pretty crazy idea to be putting into an MMO this late, but
it could add a lot to it.
Yeah. I thought it would just be. I thought for the end of the show we'd do something just chill and like talk about something fun that like could really go anywhere. Just use your imagination, right? So.
Right. And this was something that was kind of implemented in Final Fantasy XI, right?
It's very key to Final Fantasy XI, yeah, and actually many other Final Fantasy games too. It's just Final Fantasy XI was the only Final Fantasy MMO that had it, which is also the only other Final Fantasy MMO as well, of course. But yeah, subjob systems are throughout the Final Fantasy series, and they're always implemented slightly differently in each game.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And how long did you play Final Fantasy XI, by the way?
Me, on and off, probably in total about 4 to 5 years.
Denz, how long did you play it, man?
So I'm pretty similar. I played really, really heavily from the US release for about 2.5 years, and then I played on and off for another about 1.5 years after that.
Okay, so you guys have a really good grasp on how they implemented it in Final Fantasy XI.
Yep.
All right.
The way I'm suggesting is nothing like it.
Nothing like it at all. It's
very true.
At all.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to tell. Again, I tried to play Final Fantasy XI, and hitting the spacebar and not being able to jump really hurt it for me.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just quickly go over what it was like 11 very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's very simple to describe. It's basically that you'd have a primary job and say it was level 80. We'll just say we just use 80 for example because it's an even number. And then if you put a subjob on, it would be you could only the max level of your subjob was always half of your primary job, but you still had to level up the second job to that level. So if it was 80, you'd have to level up the second job to 40. And then every ability that class got up to 40 would be given to your primary. You could use it, basically.
Okay.
Almost everyone. There's some exceptions to very specific job abilities, but basically that's how it worked. So you can imagine how many abilities that is, especially in an old MMO. It's just like tons of abilities, right?
Right.
You're getting some totally worthless too in some cases, and passives too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Denz, do you think? And we've already heard kind of from Ark his thoughts on it. Do you think that there's any room to add some sort of concept like this past what we already have in the Final Fantasy XIV?
So I think past is the wrong word. As a replacement to might be the more accurate word.
Yeah.
Because the current class system comes from 1.0. And as we well know, Yoshi P is not a fan of the fact he just kind of inherited it as a necessity. As a replacement, I think there's room for it because clearly we have this intent that you get some benefit from having leveled other things.
Right. And I mean, if you actually look into the ultimate comparison to every MMO you ever talk about, WoW, right? You look how they do it. They've crushed their ability system and how classes work and stuff with lots of. I think how many times have they done that with their expansions?
Oh, almost every one.
Almost
Yeah.
everyone.
And not to mention in Legion, like the classes, they're almost making specs as its own class now. Like it almost has each one has its own unique talent tree now. So specs have become their own classes at this point. It's gone so deep into how many times they've redone it. That's what Legion is basically doing.
Right.
So it's like, so now there's ways to customize your spec, essentially. So yeah, it's an MMO thing, right? It's once you kind of get it ages a bit, they can start to experiment and add some class custom. And again, it is strange that Yoshi said he didn't want to do that because of the armory system, but I still think they're gonna do it.
Yeah, in some way. I mean, it could optimize the game and how they could probably find a good way to change it properly over.
Yeah, it's still an illusion, but the illusion's kind of nice because, we talk about people doing solo content. I would like as a ninja, I would really love to be able to say subjob white mage and have some healing abilities so I could solo titan on my ninja and I don't have to level up another class to do it.
Right.
And I know my main really well, so yeah, like stuff like that, right? I know it's still an illusion of choice for raiding and it always will be, but and
It's nice to have it.
Yeah, and it's an illusion of choice to a certain extent too, because it's like you always have to make this choice given this comp, kind of thing is what the choice really would be. And sometimes there's like as you get more down to mid core, sometimes it's like given this player who can't do this, you need to use this spec, stuff like that. So, but at the top end, yeah, it's an illusion, but it's still a nice to have. It's nice for it.
So, Dens, you might actually run into something kind of similar to this when we get into materia, because black mages are definitely going to be able to choose their style of play, right?
We'll see how that really happens. I don't think.
Okay.
I think if you're in Japan, you can choose your style of play. If you're in the NA or EU, I think you still kind of need a lot of spell speed.
Okay. Spell speed is like, I've heard that so many times with black mages now. Everyone just wants as much spell speed as possible, and it makes perfect sense. So let's
get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it a bit here. And so, Ark, we've kind of already went over the way or how it really gives players other choices for their classes and jobs, right?
So yeah, I was just gonna go over this here.
Yeah, do it.
So here's what my premise was for a subjob system, and my goal was to make it something very simple. At least at this point, I know it could be taken much further, but simple so that I could describe it in a small show like this, and something that's very easy for everyone to understand very quickly. And also just leave some room for people to add their own kind of imagination to it or changes. So again, the obvious concept is you get a second jobstone slot. It's your secondary jobstone slot. We have jobstones that exist already. You just get another slot, you equip it, and that's how you change between them, right? The only restriction to being able to as soon as you get that jobstone, as long as you're in my example, I'm saying you have to be 60. That way, I could modify all those skills or make use of all those skills on the primary job. You just equip it as long as you have it and you have the subjobs unlocked. So that's a very obvious thing. I think anyone would have really thought about it. We have the stones, so we might as well do it. The other assumption that I would make with this premise is that the cross-class system at this point is totally gone. And I know there are some key abilities from the cross-class system, like Provoke and Invigorate and Protect and a bunch of other Cleric Stance. I know those are all extremely important cross-class skills. But so part of the assumption is that those skills are all gone from cross-class, and your primary class job has some way to make up for that. Like all tanks have their own unique provoke at this point. It doesn't come from the subjob system. All those skills that you absolutely 100% need are given to you at this point. I'm not going to really describe how that happens, but we can just make the assumption that you're not missing any key abilities from the cross-class system, and it's totally gone at this point.
Okay.
And what this does is, that's the cross-class system is contributing to ability bloat right now. We have all these damage and defensive cooldowns that are all repeated. So, yeah, like Raging Strikes, I know. But yeah, so it's just adding to the ability bloat right now. If we kind of built some system into the classes that don't really need these like generic DPS cooldowns and things like that, or give them their own DPS cooldowns, that works. Or again, through the subjob system that I'm talking about, your damage is just overall increased as if you had those cross-class skills.
Mm-hmm.
So what the premise is that when you equip this jobstone, what happens is one of your abilities that you already exist on your primary job gets modified slightly. And this is my classic example. I always use this example, is that, for example, a Pally Warrior, a pally whose subjob puts the subjob stone of a warrior on, their royal authority now gives slashing debuff. So it doesn't add any new abilities, but it does still change your play style or change how you maybe interact with different comps and stuff like that. And of course there's like, and I can go on like further of how many other different job combinations
Let's pause you for a second though.
Yep.
Denz, hearing this right now, what are your initial thoughts?
So I think me and he's kind of got the first thought that any black mage is going to be. It's like, oh my god, no, Raging Strikes, I need it.
Right. I mean, that's...
yeah.
Good.
At the same time, like, I kind of almost want, if I'm going to have something completely replace cross classes, I want it to affect one ability per X levels.
Okay.
So, like, let's say at 50 it only affects one, then at 60 it affects two. You know, something simple where, like, you can look at every tier of content, you get a slight upgrade over time to where your subjob system helps.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you decide to call it, if you don't want to call it subjob, because it's like, I'm not getting all of the red mage abilities on my black mage, what the hell?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, like, again, I'm keeping it to 1, but I agree that maybe 2 and also a trait from the subjob would have been something if I was going to take it further, or if it was actually implemented, is something I would like to see more. But for simplicity's sake, I'm thinking for the premise as we're going to come up with examples on the show today, we'll stick with one ability.
Yeah, we're going down and dirty and simple here.
Yeah. And to promote. The one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking of this is like, now how do I promote people to level their subjob to the highest level? Because I don't want them to your rating. I don't want everyone to require to level jobs they hate past 30.
Like they have to do now, right?
Sometimes they do, right? Not like 34. Yeah, but also it's really easy to get 30 and unlock that job stone. And I thought there should be a reward for really dedicating and leveling your subjob to 60. So what I said is that basically you get all your attribute point allocations that your subjob has when you equip your subjob. So if your subjob's 30, I can't remember how many you get. 30, maybe it's like 15. You get 15 attribute points. If you bother to level it all the way to 60, you get 35 attribute points, and you can allocate those to wherever you want. And then it's just like a minor bonus for bothering to level that subjob to 60, but really you only need to get it to 30 and get the subjob unlocked. And that's just kind of like that promote to like level, a little bonus for, making use of the army system and leveling up stuff. Okay. So we can kind of talk about this a little bit more and maybe come up with some more pre-examples. But one thing I just kind of want to make sure we start doing now is that the interactive part that I was kind of talking about earlier, but for viewers and stuff like that, I want to make sure we start getting these now. Is there are 156 combinations currently that exist for subjobs in primary jobs, and to come up with examples for all of them would not fit in this show. So kind of what we wanted to do is for the rest of the show, just let viewers kind of post what they want to hear for subjob combinations. And I'm sorry to the mods that might have to click some of that. I'm not really sure how we're going to select them, but I just want to hear, like, there's so many combinations, right? That we'll pick from what the viewers say and kind of together come up with some examples using this premise on the fly. And while that starts happening, so people can start suggesting them at any point. And while that happens, I was thinking that we go around and each come up with our favorite job combination. That if this was in the game, what we would pick and what we'd get out of it. I'll go. Okay. I can go first if you want an example, but I can also go last to give you guys more time to talk.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's guys. If you want to participate, just say 2 different jobs that you would want to see a combination of and how that could really affect into the system. It's actually pretty interesting to hear this stuff. And again, none of us are from Square Enix. None of this stuff is factual information. It is theory crafting, a different part of the game design that we kind of wanted to end off the show in kind of nice, light, interactive mode here. I think, Dins, I think it would be a good idea for maybe you to give us an example of something that you would want to see in a subclass, in that kind of system.
Okay, so one thing that I would like to see is if, let's say I'm playing Black Mage and I sub Bard.
Okay.
So let's say, let's go really crazy. Let's say whenever I'm in Umbral Ice, it restores a small amount of mana to everyone within range of me.
There you go.
Okay.
So when I shift to Umbral Ice, and only when I initially gain my Umbral Ice 3,
Mm-hmm.
they get back 1% or 2%, like very small amount, but over time it's going to matter a lot of their mana.
Okay. So
It's good. It's a good example. It's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
yeah. So this would be with Bard, right?
Yeah, if I were to sub Bard.
Okay. So let's say I'm I'm gonna make up a bad example. So I'm a monk, right? And I want to subjob a white mage. Does that mean that I can bring Muscle Mog into reality and go around and punch people to heal them?
Troll on the example, huh?
No, there's just something you
So
don't
what
know.
you're telling me is you really want Dancer.
I really want, I guess, Dancer. If when they punch they heal, then yeah, that's what I want.
You
All
could
right.
do something like that. Maybe like in one of their stances, right? Like, they have to turn on the wind stance and now it heals for 2% of the damage they do. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and so I guess like a good idea, if more logical, would be all right. So now I've subbed white mage. When I go into stone skin, or when I go into earthen or whatever,
Fist of Earth.
or fist of earth, maybe it can give maybe people around me a small shield. All right,
Something
not
I would've
enough.
maybe thought for a scholar, but
Yeah, but it'd be like the
Subjobs
stone skin.
scholar.
It would give everyone stone skin around you.
yeah, that's true. Actually, that's right. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and so it could give everyone stone skin. It could be a weak version, but it's an extra buff, right? And so you're being supporty, and you're going into a supporty type stance because you want to reduce damage to yourself, but you can also reduce damage to around you too. And that would be neat because that could make or break some heavy hits, right?
Yep. No, that's exactly
Dins?
it, right? And you're probably sacrificing you're probably sacrificing a DPS subjob for that defensive utility subjob, right? That's the kind of decisions that would be happening.
Right. Dins.
So
You
let's
think I
take
sound
your same
crazy?
No. Let's take your same example.
Okay.
And let's go slightly different. Let's say your monk sub white mage, okay? And every time you use tornado kick, it casts Medica.
On yourself?
The tornado kick doesn't get a lot of use right now, right?
Right, but here's a reason why you could also like pick a given skill. I'm just picking one that I know sees very little use. But let's
exactly.
pick a skill that doesn't see a lot of use, and make it more interesting. Or like when you dragon kick, you apply a regen to people in a small radius.
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. Well, we do have some.
Yeah.
Here.
I'll do mine, and then
Yeah, just do
let's
yours.
get into
I
the
forgot
ones
you had
that-
an example.
Yeah, I want to do a ninja one because I play ninjas. So.
Of course, yeah. Go.
Yeah. So mine was for Ninja Dark Knight. The concept. So one thing that bothers me in this game, and I say this all the time when I'm playing ninja, is like I have a mana bar, and I cannot use mana, and it's like, why do I have this resource? I want to use this resource. So I was figuring that if you were ever subjobbing some of the caster or the magic jobs to a class that doesn't use mana, and the same thing for classes that don't use TP outside of sprint. So I was saying, so this is my example for Ninja Dark Knight. Shade Shift no longer is a physical shield. I can only use it when I have at least 50% mana, and it essentially applies Dark Side to me and drains mana at the same rate that Dark Side would to Dark Knight. So it doesn't last very long. It gives me the 15% damage up, and now ninjas can use mana. And I've lost a defensive cooldown. Not alone, like I could have picked up a new one. I totally lost one, but now I have this way of planning out my mana usage, and I have this like this kind of weird dark side effect, and it kind of fits because it's shade shift, right?
All right. I actually want to jump into a little bit of the details here too. So doing this kind of subjob system, you're saying this would kind of rule out the current system they have right now.
Cross classes, yeah.
Yeah, the cross classes that they do.
Something would replace the key skills, and then you would also get the subjobs that modify skills, so you don't add to ability bloat, and you also remove some ability bloat.
So are we talking about 13 abilities that you could possibly get? Or 14?
13.
12, sorry, 12. Yeah.
12 modifications, yes, potentially. As long as you unlock those job stones, yeah, for each primary job, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Dins,
12 choices you can make.
yeah, That's a lot. Dens a lot more than what we have now, and they will all have uses in their own way.
Oh, and every time a new job comes out, it slightly modifies your primary job.
Yeah.
In a way, because a new choice you can make.
So Dens, how much do you enjoy the actual? I'm just curious. The cross-class system right now in the game. Do you think it's fine or?
So I think the current cross class is just too static. Is the problem? In most classes, like you look at, there's 4 abilities you take, and one where you kind of go, whatever, I guess. And very few actually look at like several of the abilities. And I'm like, there was like an example in chat where they were talking about how they solo tanked AS3 and the Dragoon had taken some stuff, and it's too limited. That if you look at cross classes when you're a class before you ever equip a job stone, Jesus Christ, your options go through the roof. You have so many choices, and
Bards
the interesting
are...
thing,
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah.
archers
yeah.
are
Archers,
raising
yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
like it's a little more interesting. The biggest problem I think that it comes down to is that it's basically there to get a few critical cooldowns crossed to other classes for effectively balance purposes.
Like Physic to White
Provoke?
Mage.
Provoke is like one of the ones that Provoke and Cleric Stance are like the two ones that
Provoke's
can't
pretty
imagine
big.
Yeah.
Provoke and Cleric Stance, and I guess Invigorate. I mean, you
But
could
similar,
fix
like,
TP.
Invigorate for TP, whatever buff you want, like whether it's Blood for Blood, Raging Strikes, whatever you're looking for.
Oh.
Those are things that most DPS are going to go, if I didn't have that, I'd lose my mind. I need that. I need that.
They could just rebalance without those things, like give the classes a new DPS skill. Yeah.
Of course, we can easily rebalance, but I much prefer, if we're going to rebalance. Let's say that we rebalance and we add a buff or whatever in the appropriate levels when we're going to take away cross classing, and now we put these more hybrid things in. It's a little more spice of life, because it adds, instead of these necessities, it adds different situational utilities.
Okay.
And I think that is far more interesting.
I love the fact that I could solo content in WoW on my Shaman just by changing my spec to having like lots of pets and lots of self heals and stuff like that. It's totally worthless for raiding and most other things, but I could solo raids because I was given some choices.
Right.
I miss that, honestly.
We actually have a lot of...
I'm sure we do.
Yeah, a lot of... and I'm actually, the first one we have in here is from Zeno.
Okay, sure.
Zeno said, it would be cool if Dragoon and Monk could tank in some way. It would make a cool dynamic if Fist of Earth removed, POS, like positionals, I guess, and increase hate. And there's a reason you could use Haymaker maybe to add a counter block. So do you think it would be kind of interesting to apply maybe a Dragoon or Monk to be able to get some sort of special ability that changes like Fists of Earth to a tanking stance, a legitimate tanking stance?
Yeah, now, I was like, if we're looking for like, so I have an example of that for Monk subjobbing one of the tanks to do that.
Yeah.
So like, I'll what I was gonna say was Monk Paladin, where Monk essentially their Fist of Earth is kind of like Shield Oath, increase enmity generation, and they take 20% less damage. I didn't really have one for Dragoon, but like, I mean, these were just my own personal examples. But yeah, like, if that like, I don't know what you guys are thinking for which kind of subjobs, like you could think of the other tanks too, for example. But yeah, Monk, like Fist of Earth is almost a tank stance. It's almost a tank stance. So I was like, well, if you subjob a tank, you might as well just push it there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get well, actually, maybe you would get the damage reduction on that. I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, the do less damage. I really think that went through too much, but.
I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, it probably wouldn't be at all optimal, but it would be fun to say, oh yeah, I'm a Monk, I'll tank. Why not?
Yeah, for a certain section of the fight, yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually going to give a suggestion to Dens and let him kind of theory craft here a little bit. Dens, Ionic Cypher suggested White Mage and Dragoon. So White Mage subclass Dragoon.
It's hard sometimes to think on the fly.
Yeah, this one's interesting. Okay, I think I got it.
White Mage jump. Give me one of those.
White Mage jump.
We can all come up with one for it too. You know, like kind of.
I feel like we have so many here that we probably should do.
Let's say, whenever you use a size, it increases the crit rate of the party by 5%.
Yeah. You're thinking the same way I do. For like Dragoon, I was thinking Dragoon's really iconic with the crit and piercing. So it's like, yeah, I would have added some kind of move that adds crit to the party as well. That's really cool.
I'm really disappointed you did not make a jump.
What? A white mage jump?
A white mage jump.
What?
Okay,
White-
so let's think about it for a
Stone
second.
skin
Dude,
jump.
Rusty,
All right,
do
let's
it.
just think about it.
Which ability would add a jump to the white mage? Tell us, Rusty.
Would add a jump. Okay, so
Or how would it work? Tell us, Rusty.
all right, I don't know exactly which jump. It's just a jump. Okay, it adds a jumping ability, and so basically it will add on Stone Skin is the one that it will go to. Instead of having the cast Stone Skin, it's immediate, and it's within whatever range. So basically, the white mage jumps into the air, comes down with his fist, hits the ground as hard as he can, rocks blast on everyone around him, and he gives
So
Stone
that
Skin.
replaces the stone skin skill, huh? It's just like
You-
stone
I
skin.
mean,
2,
that means-
use it in combat.
So it's
and then it-
basically like an instant cast, right? An off global
Okay.
cooldown. So they could hit that, jump up, and then everyone that's around them will get a Stone Skin around them as they jump up and hit the ground.
So let's say you're modifying stone skin 2. You can use it in combat. It now makes you jump in the air and cast it on everyone. There you go, Frosty. You just came up with one.
I'm so great.
That's crazy animation. I got you.
That's
Alright.
amazing.
We're gonna go with heavenly jump.
Heavenly
So
jump.
whenever you cast holy, you do a jump animation,
Okay.
and you get the effect of spine shatter dive on top of your holy.
There you go.
Okay, that'll work too. I'm sorry, I just needed a jump in there.
It's we have infinite possible ways we can describe it. Some are going to be ridiculous. Some are going to be, oh, that's actually kind of a cool idea.
Nothing I say is ridiculous. Peck the Mech the first, and this is gonna be you, Ark. Dark Knight and Black Mage. Seems like an easy fit there.
Yeah, I was thinking, so Dark Knight Black Mage, because Black Mages have the convert ability where they're removing health from mana, and that's actually something that we thought Dark Knights were going to have in the first place. My suggestion would be that Blood Price, as opposed to what it does now, is a ability that is basically a health to mana conversion with no cooldown on it. Well, sorry, wait, no, maybe not no cooldown on it, but something like along that lines, right? That you can convert. This is something good for an off tank position, kind of. But yeah, a full out convert on tanks. I mean, on Dark Knight. That's what I was thinking for Black Mage. Sorry, Dark Knight Black Mage.
Okay, Dens, I got one here for you. This is actually Miyuni. He suggested. Well, let's just go over the suggestion. Instead, this isn't going to be a theory craft. It'll just be a suggestion. Miyuni said Black Mage with White Mage subjob. A pocket now also gives 20% physical defense.
Yeah, so I saw that one. That's pretty sick because now it's just
Yeah.
flat. It's a flat 20%.
Yeah, like Dark Knight
Cooldown.
Pally or something. I mean Black Mage Pally, something like that, right?
I thought Miyuni was going to sleep, by the way.
Oh,
I appreciate the
I mean, if we
suggestion.
couldn't-
Maybe he's just laying in bed with a smartphone listening to the soothing sounds of our voices.
Oh, yes, I understand now. Okay, so here is another one that's a suggestion, not for us to kind of figure out, but Tupac Shakur said, sorry, he's talking about Scholar, so it made me kind of laugh. Scholar, Subjobs, Summoner, which they're the same, the job crystal, though. I don't...
They're different
it's
job,
different
they're
job
different job
systems.
Oh, they're
crystals.
sorry, they're
the
different
same
job,
class.
they're same class. Never mind. We're eliminating the
What are
class system.
Classes have been removed from the game.
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point.
All right, so Scholar, Subjobs, Summoner, give me Ockmorn and Fester while healing.
Holy crap! We said not, you have to change an ability. You don't give abilities. Remember?
Okay. So, changing an ability. So real quick, changing that ability. How would they be able to get Ockmorn or Fester?
Well, they have. What do they have?
Ruin 1.
Yeah,
There you
Route
go.
1 now causes
Well.
Aquamarine. No, it have to be something that uses ether flow. Something like energy drain, consumes all your ether flow and does like does like a big Aquamarine or something like that, or does as much damage as Aquamarine, or energy drain functions like
how about
Fester.
this? What if you get instead of your indomitability centering on yourself, it has an Ockborn style effect where it targets an enemy and then indoms from the center of that target.
That's kind of interesting. It just changes how you target the ability. Do you get any does it just do damage to the boss or anything?
Yeah,
like
so
that?
it deals damage to the boss,
Oh, I see
and
what you're
then
saying.
it heals at the same time. So it's like a
I
small
gotcha.
damage AOE with a healing pulse.
So kind of like so your what's that emergency? Is that emergency tactics or what's no dispatch? No, it is emergency tactics.
Or deployment. You're talking about deployment?
Uh,
Deployment,
Deploy-
yeah, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
They all
Yeah,
sound
kind of
so
like deployment
similar.
tactics.
Lots
yeah,
of tactics.
It's all tactics.
Yeah. So deployment now does damage to enemies near the person gets hit by it, or you target off the enemy and does damage to him, and then shields everyone, right? Yeah, that's kind of like that's like the Bane concept, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking like along the lines of like because Summoner's so iconic with pets that you make your fairy. If you go Scholar Summoner, your fairy has a method of like when you use like Rouse or something like that, your fairy now DPSs for a little bit. So it's like again you're dropping some healing to gain like more DPS potential because you subjob to DPS class.
Okay.
I'm thinking, yeah.
All right. So who went last here? Was it Dens or Ark?
I went last.
Okay. So Dens, you got perked. Has a suggestion for Dragoon Bard. He says he wants straight shot and raging strikes, but since it doesn't exactly work like that, how would you apply maybe some sort of way of making straight shot or raging strikes going into Dragoon by having a subclass of Bard?
So I think I would line it up with probably your like some other major buff that you're doing, probably like Battle Litany if you're going to talk Raging Strikes. If you're going to talk Straight Shot, sorry, brain just disappeared for a second. I would build it into jump, basic jump. So every time you jump, you get the buff you would get from Straight Shot.
Okay.
It's good, yeah.
Sounds fair to me.
Makes you change how to think about when you use your jumps, right? Because straight shot is the effect of straight shot doesn't last as long as your cooldown for jump is longer than the effect of straight shot lasting. So it's not like you can keep it up 100% of the time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So VV or FFXIV 0168 said Black Mage Scholar. If they did that, Apok would give a shield equal to 30% of the target's maximum HP.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's a good example, right?
Yeah, I like that. I was also thinking Mana Ward is applied to the entire raid for Black Mage Scholar. But we're both thinking the same way. Mitigation,
that would be crazy.
Group mitigation. Hey, but they're losing some kind of DPS potential subjob for it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even have a Scholar in the group, and you need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, that makes sense. I gotcha. All right. So, Barbaron, let's see. He has actually, I think, more of a statement here. If the dual wielding came across like Final Fantasy XI Warrior Ninja, to see two-handed axes, and so he wants to see a warrior subclass ninja and somehow get the ability to run with two-handed axes.
So, dual wielding's not actually an ability in this game, though. It's just you have weapons that are dual wielding.
Unlock it, man. I can unlock it. You could say maybe. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and theory craft with it a little bit because I want to try this.
This one will be out of the box for sure, though.
No. Okay, so let's think of a warrior ability, right? That increases damage. What's the warrior ability that increases damage? It's Berserk, right?
Berserk is one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
All right. So what if Berserk was now turned into something that had more of a magical theme to it? And I don't know what that would be. It'd be Mage Anger or something stupid like that, right? I'm sorry. I'm not good with names. Mage Storm. Yeah. Mage Storm. Okay.
But why is the ninja giving the Mage Storm?
It's part magic, right? It has some...
Sure.
Ninjas can do magic. And so basically what that does is it lets them duplicate the axe during that cooldown, and then they could run and do even more increased damage.
So you're
or they do faster damage. Okay, so no. They don't do more damage. They do fast damage. And so they hit 2 times faster.
Okay, so you're so close. You're so close on this one, Frosty, because you said dual damage, right? And ninjas have an ability called duality, right? So the closest thing you're gonna see to like a double axe move would be something like, let's say like raw intuition makes it so it applies duality to the warrior, so their next attack happens twice, right? Or maybe this would be super broken, but like Fell Cleave hits twice or something like that, right? That's a little too broken because that's an off GCD move.
Right.
Yeah, but raw intuition now adds duality. It's about the same cooldown length as duality. I think they're both 90 seconds.
I would just say
on top of its normal effects, you can double butcher's block, you can double path or eye now, right? It only works on weapon skills. That's why I'm not saying Fell Cleave there. So
I would say
that's 2 axes, kind of.
That's 2 axes. I think that's a decent idea there, right? Okay, so then we have. I will get someone that hasn't gone yet. Uh, so Cryophysics has something in here that's not a suggestion of a job and a subjob, but we could probably fit that in there. But they want to add a Fist of Water, which I guess that would be Monk as the main job. That would be cool for a healing stance and making the healing monk, where they go up and punch people.
So you would probably change one of their existing.
Fist of Earth.
So Fist of Earth doesn't. So you could just call it like Fist of Earth, and now it is the healing stance, and it like has like grass effects or something like that. But yeah.
Maybe.
No, I could see that happening. I was thinking like if you were going like a, let's say like a monk. No one's talking about Astro so far. It's too bad, but
There is one Astro in here. There is an Astro.
Okay, we should do that one next.
Okay.
Monk White Mage. I was thinking because Mantra is already kind of iconic to healing. That Mantra is just straight up big AOE heal, like a 50% heal. Like it's like a tetragrammatation AOE, but it's a short range. It's just the same range as Mantra. You know, something like that. It's not. Yeah, you help healers out, but like in an AOE, like a similar to how other games do raid utility when a DPS class gets a healing move. It's like something really big, but it's a long cooldown too. So like like shamans and WoW have like the totem, the healing totem that's like a big healing move, but it's like a 3-minute cooldown, and that's the only healing they really have. That was a while ago when that was probably true, but so yeah, I was thinking like Mantra is a big ass heal.
Okay.
Tier 3 kind of, or even more.
So we have time for a few more suggestions here. There's a lot of suggestions in here. I don't think we're gonna be able to hit all of them. But we're gonna try anyways, and I'm gonna let Denz hit this one. And we'll give him the Astro one. Okay, so
I'll take the Astro one after him. You
okay, he really wants it. Okay,
caster one. So yeah.
You want a caster one? Do you want?
I'll take whatever you give me.
All right, we'll give you the very next one that was in line then. White Mage Warrior, fail cleave to heal. Do you think that would be something? Actually, that was more of a suggestion, as in that could be a thing. A White Mage can't use fail cleave. They won't use it.
The White Mage skill does something.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try this one. Malzane said somehow try to make this work. Ninja Summoner, some way of summoning Jutsu.
Okay, Naruto.
Well, they're already magical. They can they do some stuff like that, right?
So let's say whenever you use Trick Attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're under the effect of some given mudra, but let's give an example. Let's say you're in. You have to forgive me. I don't really play Ninja. The AOE.
Ark has you covered.
Doton, the AOE Earth one.
Right. So let's say you use Trick Attack while Doton's down, and it will summon up like a Titan Eggy that attacks for as long as Trick Attack is up.
Cool. I mean, like again, that's the point, right? We don't want to add in new animations, so or models or anything that would make this too hard to implement. So yeah, Titan Eggy comes up.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Yeah,
so
it does all that. It just auto does its stuff. It's Titan Eggy. It just sits there and damages.
Kind of
like a turret.
Turret, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very like a turret.
Okay. So FFXIV0168 said Monk Astrologian, and the suggestion here was changing a specific fist buffs to give people a 10 yalm radius for its effect. And so let's see. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, so the reason I had a kind of cool idea for Astro. I know it's kind of like not necessarily pulled from the viewers as much, but the reason I was like, oh, I hope someone suggests Astro so I can say this.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing was that they have 6 cards, right? And I was thinking that if I link 6 cards to each individual class, for example, Dragoon's obviously Spear just because like it's a spear, right? And other things like that. For Astro, when linked to those 6 classes, their spread is always loaded with a spear or a balance or a bowl or something like that. So they subjob that class, and they always have available to them within spread that type of card. And spread has a long cooldown, but it also makes you can't you can still play other cards, but now you have locked and loaded. So monk, it's interesting that monk was brought up because I was thinking monk would be the best class to take the balance part of it for Astro. So I was gonna say that let's see, for monk Astro, I was saying that when you use mantra, you give the AoE version of balance to everyone who gets effective mantra. That's 5% damage increase for I think a minute. So that's how monk Astro would work. And Astro monk would mean that spread is always loaded with balance, which isn't too. It's pretty powerful. If I would say that Astro monk would probably be pretty common with me saying that, but yeah. So I won't go into each example unless it's brought up, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have too much more time for it.
I know, right? It's yeah.
Dark Intellect was able to get one in here. A lot of these were Vivi and Miyuni and Tupac Shakur added a lot of suggestions in here. I wish we could hit all of them. But I'm going to go to Dark Intellect because this is his first one in his suggestions. It's Warrior White Mage. They want to make Bloodbath, now Blood Shower. Tell me what that would mean, Dens.
Oh, dude, go for it, Dens. I think that sounds exactly like what I was thinking, but go for it.
I mean, to me, it sounds like whatever you're healing to everybody in Radiance.
Dude, that's exactly it.
And that sounds pretty fucking fantastic to me.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
All right, so that's pretty much straightforward, right?
Yeah, I think he knew what he was when he was suggesting it, what it probably did also.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Blood Shower.
All right, so let's hit another one here from the top of the list here. Tupac Shakur, Warrior Subjob Bard, a slashing debuff also has foes debuff on the boss. All right, that seems a little bit too powerful, to be honest with you.
100%, yeah, because it has to foes has to somehow reduce mana. It's too powerful. You can't trump the main job, right?
Right.
You can't if the bard has to spend a bunch of some resource to keep that debuff up, or do something, it should apply to the sub job or make it even harder for the sub job, if anything, right?
Right.
But you could also tie it in. You could tie it into Berserk, right?
Yeah, exactly. While Berserk is
you're under Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
That's good.
Miyuni said Monk plus Black Mage demolishes now a dot that exploded when the timer runs out. No more clipping. All right. That's a good one. Vivi here said Paladin Dark Knight Bulwark gains the ability to block magic. That would fix a lot of issues with Paladin right now.
If they're maintaining. Yeah.
When
I was thinking, a lot of people are asking about this, but spending mana to do AoE magic damage. So I said this seems like such a good fit for me. But Pally Dark Knight makes Flash do some potency with its attacks, similar to how Dark Knight uses mana to do its AoE damage. Now Pally's also do damage using their mana as well. That's kind of so that now Flash does damage because you went Pally Dark Knight. Great for those AoE fights that you don't have a lot of AoE damage on in your comp, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you got perked Subjob Ninja on a caster. I'm either Black Mage or Summoner, I'm assuming. And Goad increases MP instead of TP. So you would have to find a way to make that work with one of their existing abilities to increase MP or TP, right? Because it's Subjob Ninja.
Well, the caster Subjob Ninja. I see. Right.
Yeah. And so I guess you can make that work to where, I guess it would need to be because that wouldn't matter on Black Mage, right?
So what if let's go crazy here. What if you sub Ninja, and every time the Black Mage puts down ley lines, if somebody else steps into it, they get the effect of Suiton.
Suiton is the.
Is that the?
Do you mean Huton?
Huton. Sorry, the attack speed.
Yeah,
ninja.
Play a ninja, man. Play a ninja.
Yeah. It's not, or they just get the haste boost. They don't even have to get Huton. They just stand in it and they get the haste boost as well. In general, I was thinking
you're getting the akin haste boost.
Yeah, I was thinking Summoner Ninja. For me, I was gonna go with more of a damage thing. I thought that Trick Attack's a 60-second cooldown, or actually no, yes, Trick Attack's a 60-second cooldown, and technically so is Virus, though not really on the Summoner, but it's 90-second, but they have antibodies on it. But if you subjob Summoner, if Summoner subjobs Ninja, Virus gives a vulnerability up for 10 seconds. It's like Trick Attack kind of thing. It's just,
All right. Let's go into an actual question here too from Tom Barian. Do you think sacrificing the pain of an elemental will was worth the weirdness of Black Mage killing Ifrit with fire spells? Dins, you got comments on that?
I think it's a little too complicated. You're gonna play too much FF11 if they require you to do elemental weaknesses and and resistances in each boss fight. Also, do you really want ice mages everywhere? I don't. I certainly don't. I want every ice mage that's out there to just be like slapped with proper learning and learn how Black Mage is supposed to work. Or go play Summoner. It's really easy to just put up dots and spam Ruin and think you're doing okay.
And let's not even get into the fact that if you're going to add a elemental wheel to the game, there's going to be targets that are highly immune to physical attacks, like bosses like Titan, for example. So,
and if you're going to give me an elemental wheel, I want elemental bursts. I want proper skill chains.
Here we go. Yeah,
gonna go all the way back, baby, all the way.
I'd love to see skill chains, but I don't know how they would do that. I'd rather see the subjob system first before that.
Right.
What kind of subjob system?
Okay, so I think that we're pretty much to the wrap-up part of the show. Before we go on to the next segment here, this is the last segment before I do the closing statements, guys. And I really want you guys to stick around for that, so please don't go anywhere.
Oh, I will for sure.
Yeah, but Ark, thank you for joining us again on the second segment here. Your second segment here.
Yeah, no problem. I hope people enjoy this. This is kind of like different. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. I know it was very I wanted to pick something that was along the lines of we just go until we run out of time, and that way there's no time restraints, and we can just have fun the whole way there, right?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of great examples that people might have wanted to hear if we want to take it further someday for a full show. Like this is, right? You said sampling, right? Preview.
Yeah. I mean,
you
Ark
did awesome with coming up some of these too.
Yeah, work with me sometime, Ark, and we can try to get a format in here that maybe some people
enjoyed it. If people enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, Dens, thanks for coming on the show. I know you had to skip out on that second game there.
Yeah, a smaller tournament, but that's fine.
All right, yeah. And I appreciate you coming in and participating and helping us out on my 50th episode of MogTalk. I'm almost at 9 hours live time here. And I've only had 6 drop frames total. And that was at the very beginning. I don't know why it did it, but there's I had a heart attack in the first hour when I saw that happen. I thought it was going to keep going, but I really appreciate you coming on, Dens. And I want to make sure that you both have your chance to do a shout out and tell Ark, do a second shout out here. Who we shouting out to, man? Diablos again?
Yeah, Diablos again, of course. So all the people here from Diablos, and again, all the awesome guests that came to support Frosty. Keep supporting MogTalk, keep supporting Frosty. He brings the community together.
Yeah.
A shout out to you.
I appreciate that so much. I really do appreciate that. Dins.
Shout outs to Muni for putting some hype in chat. Most especially, shout outs to all the few people who actively use Lodestone. I know Esper's in chat. There's a few others who follow several blogs. Shout out to those people because it's a really awesome community that very few people join in on.
Yeah. I wish I need to be more active with Lodestone. I agree. Being part of that in the community with the blogs and everything, it is actually there. It exists a community. People use it a lot. And I always have this idea in my head that it doesn't really exist, but it does.
You're the majority of people.
Yeah, I'm in the majority because it just falls into that because I just go to Reddit and I assume that gets me my fill. But Lodestone is the official Square Enix communication source. So I do again want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's been a blast having you on here. It's been a blast all day. And I will be back here, guys. Everyone in chat, I'll be back here in about 10 minutes or so to wrap everything up. I want you guys to stick around for that. And I appreciate you guys putting up with me eating earlier too.
Yeah, that's fine. I saw it coming, and I don't know why. It's because you're probably really comfortable around me, so you're gonna eat while I'm
comfortable around everybody. I don't care. Okay. I'll eat on my normal stream. I just didn't want to do it on the show itself. And but all right, guys, I'm gonna do the waving part where we all wave and say goodbye and everything. And do the Moogle wave there. And then we'll turn the music back on when we switch over.